Today we're going to talk about financial stress, but not in the way you might think. We're not looking at it as a money problem, but as a cognitive one, something that literally changes how your brain works. So, let's dive in. You know that feeling, right? That split second of pure dread where your mind just starts racing, trying to figure out if you can cover it? Well, that feeling, it isn't just an emotion. It's actually a symptom of a much bigger problem, one that's eating up a huge chunk of our mental real estate, whether we realize it or not. This quote really just gets to the heart of it. So many of us, we just accept this constant, low-level hum of anxiety as, normal. It's just the price of being a grown-up in the modern world. But what if that whole idea is just completely wrong? Okay, so this brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer, and it's a concept that might just flip your understanding of what money is even for.
So we're all taught that money is for buying stuff, right? Cars, houses, a nice vacation. But its real superpower, the thing that truly matters, is totally invisible. Money buys back your brain space. See, when you're constantly worried about making ends meet, you're not just financially broke, you're cognitively broke too. It's like you're trying to run your whole life with a computer processor that's completely maxed out.
And here's the thing. This isn't just a metaphor or a feeling. No, it is a measurable, documented neurological effect. And the science behind it is pretty startling. 13 points. Just let that number sink in for a second, because what it represents is, well, it's profound. And there you have it. That's the cognitive cost, a 13-point drop in your effective IQ. To put that into perspective, that's the same hit your brain takes after pulling an all-nighter. The only difference is, with financial stress, you never get to catch up on sleep. You're just operating with a handicapped brain day after day after day.
So you can see exactly how this vicious cycle works. First, the financial stress eats up your mental bandwidth. Then, because your brain is overloaded, your cognitive capacity drops. That's the 13-point hit. That makes it way harder to make good, complex decisions, so you make poorer ones, focusing on short-term survival. And of course, those decisions just create even more financial stress. And around you go. It's a brutal feedback loop.
This is such a perfect way to describe it. You're not making bad decisions because you're somehow bad at making them. You're making them because your brain is trying to solve a puzzle while a fire alarm is going off right next to your head. It's an impossible situation.
So how in the world do you break a cycle like that? Well, the solution isn't necessarily what you'd think. It's not just about earning more money. It's about something else entirely.
The key is something called the buffer. And it's not about building wealth, it's about building a wall. A small financial cushion whose one and only job is to create mental space by absorbing the shock when something unexpected goes wrong.
And this chart says it all, doesn't it? Your stress level isn't really tied to your salary. It's tied to volatility, to how close you are to the edge. Someone with a lower income but a small buffer can be way less stressed than someone earning a ton of money but living paycheck to paycheck. The buffer is the thing that turns a catastrophe into a simple inconvenience.
But hey, let's be real. If building that first buffer was so easy, everybody would already have one. The truth is, the journey to that first $1,000 can feel impossibly, soul-crushingly hard, and for very, very real reasons.
I mean, just look at this timeline. It really shows how fragile saving can be. It's never a straight line, is it? Life happens. A single flat tire, a sick pet, those things can wipe out weeks of hard work in an instant. And the psychological weight of having to start over again, it's just crushing. And on top of that, you're trying to save while the system itself is kind of working against you. It's sometimes called the poverty tax. It's all these extra costs, overdraft fees, higher interest rates, not being able to buy in bulk, that basically penalize you for not having money in the first place. It's like trying to fill a bucket that's just riddled with holes. So, what happens when you actually do it? When you fight through all of that, and you finally build that buffer, and you get to use it for the very first time? The transformation is nothing short of profound. This is the moment where everything changes. Your car breaks down, and instead of that sick, familiar drop in your stomach, there's just quiet. You just handle it. And in that quiet, you realize what you've bought isn't just a car repair. You've bought the absence of that terrifying downward spiral.
And right there, in that one moment, your entire relationship with money just flips upside down. For maybe the first time in your adult life, money stops being the problem, and it becomes what it was always supposed to be, just a tool, a boring tool that solves a problem, and that's it.
Because ultimately, that's the real prize here.
The buffer buys back your cognitive freedom. It gives you the mental bandwidth to stop thinking about just surviving until the next paycheck and lets you start thinking about next month, next year, and the life you actually want to build.
And I want to leave you with this final thought. The goal isn't a dollar amount. It's not about becoming rich. It's about gaining agency. It's about having the real power to make choices from a place of stability and possibility instead of desperation and fear. And that changes everything.